Shelley is back in Gregory's mansion. When she entered, she wondered why the hall is dark and there was not even candlelight. Together with Shelley, the cat accompanies her. Shelley is thinking that maids recruited from White City are unreliable, so they should be thrown up. While she was walking in the hall, she did not notice that there was someone behind her. The man suddenly pulls Shelley and covers her mouth with a cloth. They bring Shelley in front of Gregory and threaten him that they will murder Shelley if he will still refuses to write a letter. Gregory is mad and wanted to hit them, but he can't do anything because his hands are tied up. The man touched Shelley and teased Gregory that he can't do anything if he will touch Shelley in front of him. He removes the cloth covers on Shelley's mouth and ordered her to say a few words, but what Shelley did is mock the man while saying, "Your threats are too lame. I guess you haven't succeeded in threatening anyone several times so far." After hearing it from Shelley, the man was furious and hit Shelley with strength, causing her to spew blood and fall. He stands in front of Shelley while stating that he will try his cheap threats if it will work or not. Shelley dared him and the man laughed, but he was not aware that the cat is already at his back. The cat jumped towards him and leave a scratch on his face. The cat is carrying the amulet of Grey and shouted, "Grey, I'll leave it to you." There was sorcery happening and all of them wondered what was going on. A minute ago, Grey accompanied Shelley to Gregory's house and they both knew that there was something wrong because it was too dark inside the mansion. Grey offered that they'll go inside and save Shelley's grandpa, but she refused since there are several rooms in that mansion and if they can't determine the exact location of her grandpa, they'll be in a passive situation of being intimidated by the hostages. Shelley decided to go alone and asked Grey if he can find a way to follow her. Grey answered that his armor is conspicuous, so there was no way to follow Shelley quietly. The only way he thinks to follow Shelley afterward is to let the cat go with Shelley. The cat was annoyed because in his mind, even if he knew the location and ran out to Grey to report, it would be too late. Grey handed his necklace to the cat and stated that he needs to hang this around his neck for a while. It is the disposable amulet he stole from the Great Lich. He instructed the cat that if they will find the place he should slam it to the ground and shout for Grey's name and he can reach with the transmission. Going back inside Gregory's mansion, the man was shocked after seeing Grey appearing out of thin air in a flash. Shelley now believes that Grey has magic and might have a relationship with the Holy Spirit. In the end, all sins will be cleared and all souls will be ascended. There is no room for a single shadow in every corner where the sun shines. When Grey completely appears in front of them, he stated, "I am Grey, the Knight of the Silver Moon. I hereby sanction you in the name of the Holy Spirit." Angel Catherine is up above the mansion and senses that a messenger of the Holy Spirit usually goes through this route. The men knew that the guy in front of them is the Silver Moon Rider Knight who has been in the limelight. The boss was confident that Grey is alone and even if he's skillful he cannot win the fight. They were all about to take down Grey using their sword, but Grey used magic to block all attacks coming to him and his armor is also a great help. He employed strong magic causing them to fly away. The opponents are still assertive in fighting with Grey despite the pain they suffer. Grey is very confident that he will win against them, and when the opponent tried to attack him, Grey blocks using his armor, causing the man's hand to disjoint. Grey casts quadruple tongue binding technique and illuminating beam chain to tie all of the opponents, and in the end, they failed their mission ordered by Felder and they are now fully bruised on their bodies. Gregory and Shelley are now safe and Gregory is staring at Grey thinking about how he suddenly appeared and employed the chains that emitted light. No matter how Gregory looked at it, he knew that it was definitely magic. The only human in this world who can freely use magic is the Holy Order's Paladin, so Gregory thought that Iron pulled a favor from the Holy Order, and because of that, he wants to re-examine the Becher family and Iron's abilities. After the fight, Grey asked Shelley what they should do with these people and Shelley said she will take care of it. She talks to the boss and she knows a lot of every detail about him, like his address and his family's background. The man is begging not to hurt his family and stated that his business has nothing to do with them. Shelley is not that kind of person, but she informed the man that no matter who sent them and for what purpose they attacked the Gregory family, they have failed, so Shelley is offering them two choices. The first one is to identify who sent them to Gregory's mansion, and the second is they should pretend that they all die here. The man agreed and told Shelley to keep her word and don't strike out his family. The man paused and suddenly vomit blood, causing his people to wonder what happened to him. Shelley put a poison capsule hidden between his teeth and he might bite through it, causing him to die instantly. Gregory is soundless while looking at the window, so Shelley walks through him and asks what's wrong. They can see at the window that the Becher family arrived to pick them up, so Gregory was impressed by Iron's quick actions and he concludes that Iron ordered her people to follow Felder's messenger. Going back to the Becher Castle study hall, Iron is still investigating Felder, but Felder won't say anything about how his messenger entered the White City without Iron's permission. According to Iron, she did not remember that she allowed Felder's messenger. The only thing she recalls is giving thanks to Felder for his guidance. Felder stated that Iron should know the difference between her and her father. According to him, supporting Iron is a huge risk, that's why she should be grateful to Felder. "I have learned a great lesson," Iron stated. After their conversation, Abby, Robert, and Iron is heading to another room. Robert told everything to Iron that after sending a letter of support to the Becher family, the old count involved himself in an accident so that the Gregory family would think that the Becher family is the one who actually did all those things. Iron calmed Robert and told him that striking Felder now would shake the other forces who joined them. Aside from that, Robert informed Iron that Gregory is fine with the help of Gray and he is now in the lounge. When Iron entered where Gregory is, she apologized for being late. Gregory immediately asked if Iron already discussed things with Felder, but according to Iron, Felder's explanation was to help her subdue the Gregory family. That's why she wasn't able to make a move at this time. She is also worried at the same time because he concludes that Felder might be the king's rat. They are still talking in the middle of the night, and Iron informed Gregory that Felder brought his only son Jimmy, and Jimmy has snow-white hair, which is uncommon since they are the only ones in the whole Isaac who have such bloodline in the Becher family. Gregory immediately surmises that Jimmy might be the bastard son that the king found. Iron couldn't understand as of now why Felder brought Jimmy to White City, and the only thing she can do is to wait and watch what unfolds. Felder walks late at night going to another room. When he entered, he immediately saw Jimmy and apologized to him. Jimmy told him that he don't need to be polite since he don't like to hear such things. Tell me what happened that made you come to me for help, Jimmy stated. Felder informed him that the Silver Moon Knight has sabotaged their plans multiple times since the beginning of Port Hamlet. Felder also added that Gray is a strange guy and no one knows where he came from. Gray acts absurdly like a child most of the time, but is also very resilient, unmoved by gossip, and very strong with the courage to take on 100 men. Most importantly, his loyalty to Iron is a very troublesome character. You want to make that Silver Moon Knight accidentally vanish. Fine, I'll help you, Jimmy stated and let out his wings together with many bats around the room. After hearing it, Felder was happy that Jimmy will help him this time. There's an angel who discovered that Jimmy is an underage vampire, and she asked for approval from the Higher to dispose of Jimmy, but it was denied and she can only watch and do nothing. These angels are guiding White City over deviants, and since they discovered a lich and a vampire, Catherine stated that there might be a chance that there will be more and more deviants gathering in this city in the future. The following day, Iron, Gregory, and Felder are talking about how to set up the defensive line. Little Jimmy entered the room as they were talking, and Jimmy along with Felder act like a proud father and son in front of everyone. Jimmy made an excuse that he hadn't played with Felder since they came to White City, and as expected, Felder acts and said that he was busy right now so he can play with someone else. Since Jimmy has bad intentions for Gray, he stated that he wanted to play with the knight in the white armor, and he's pointing to Gray. Afterward, Jimmy brings a lamp and Gray is wondering why they are heading to the underground of the castle. Don't worry, we'll be there soon, Jimmy stated. When they arrived, Jimmy welcomed Gray and he thought that no one will bother them in this area. Suddenly, Shelley appeared and said, "It's the dungeon of White City. Why did you bring us here to play, little Jimmy?" Jimmy looks devastated after seeing Lady Shelley, and he said that he never invited Shelley to come with them. Since Shelley insisted to include her in their games, Jimmy can't do anything but let Shelley play with them. The game is called The Brave and the Dragon. Jimmy told a story that a long time ago, there was an evil dragon living in the dungeon. It kidnapped the princess with white hair who used to live in the White City, which led to the wrath of the people. Eventually, the brave guy emerged and killed the dragon. Jimmy cast the Eye of Illusion, causing Gray and Shelley to be out of their mind. Jimmy told them that the two of them are mortal enemies and instruct them that they will fight against each other for the princess as the brave and the wicked dragon. "I don't want to be the dragon. Can I be the brave guy instead?" Gray stated, causing Jimmy to be shocked as he thought that he successfully made Gray be hypnotized. Jimmy's magic will work unless his opponent's magical skill is higher than his. Since he thought that Gray is a human, he's wondering why his magic failed with Gray. Jimmy's plan is to make Gray hypnotize, but it did work for the cat instead of Gray. The cat is now hysterically mad and wanted to attack Gray as his opponent. Jimmy is wondering what happened to the cat, and he comes to the conclusion that his magic doesn't fail, it was just a mishap. The cat keeps biting Gray's armor, and Gray is now puzzled about why the cat suddenly freaked out. "I'm the evil dragon," the cat stated. While Jimmy is wondering, he was scared as he feels something on his back. When he turned around, it was Shelley holding a brick and saying to Jimmy, "Oh, princess, please step back." Jimmy now believes that his hypnosis succeeded, and he remembered that when he babbled a story, he said there that the princess is white-haired. That's why Shelley is calling him princess. "Princess, please stand back. Your brave hero will destroy the abominable evil dragon for you," Shelley stated. The cat still acted hyper and wanted Gray to let him go. While Shelley is holding the brick, she smashes it into Gray, and Gray is screaming in agony. When Gray passed out, Shelley invited Jimmy to go back to the castle together, but Jimmy was scared and ordered Shelley to not come near him. It is said that deep in the dungeons of White Castle, the screams of a certain teenager echoed all day long. On that day, Iron ordered the doctors to go to the treatment ward and told Gray to explain everything. After what happened, Shelley fall into a coma and even the cat has been unconscious, but Gray wasn't sure what's the reason because they only played a little game. Abby Robert told Iron that Shelley and the cat seem to have been afflicted with some kind of black magic, which requires a priest from the church for treatment. If Jimmy is the one who used black magic, Iron is wondering why Gray is not affected, so she comes to the conclusion that Gray is a devout believer and has the protection of the Holy Spirit. When the night comes, there's a bat that brings food for Jimmy, and this bat suddenly transformed into a little girl. She's Dora, Jimmy's subordinate. Dora called Jimmy Master Jones, and since Jimmy heard it, he knew from the very start that it was Dora behind him. Jimmy is still crying after what happened, and when Dora saw it, he was irritated and asks Jimmy who bullied him. He told Dora that there was a girl who threatened him with a brick and hugged him in front of the public. Because of it, Jimmy feels ashamed of himself and wanted to make revenge. Jimmy blamed Felder for what happened, and he was afraid that his good sister might suspect him. Dora offered him that she can execute anyone, including Iron, for no reason as long as she gets an order from Jimmy, but Jimmy hit her and reminded her that they can't take the initiative to execute people, and that was their agreement with those holy spirits. Jimmy was also aware that there might be an angel around the White City watching over them, and it would be a disaster if they will be caught. As long as they will not murder anyone, they won't be targeted by those angels. Jimmy already has a plan in his mind on how to get rid of Gray, and he ordered Dora to send a message to the king to send his Shadow Guard troops. Before he go to sleep, he swore that he will revive the great blood race and stated that he is the light of hope for the blood race. The next morning, when Jimmy woke up, the first thing he saw is the Silver Moon Knight Gray. He was shocked upon seeing Gray in his room, and Gray informed him that Iron ordered him to play and take care of Jimmy. Iron also said that the game they played last time is too dangerous, so Gray decided to play a game of family. "Let's go out for a walk in the sun," Gray stated while he faced Jimmy to the light from the sun. Jimmy shouted and passed out. The road to the revival of the great blood race is a long way to go. Gray called Jimmy a son and apologizes to Jimmy since he's not aware that Jimmy is afraid of the sun. Jimmy told Gray to close the curtain or else something will really happen. "But little Jimmy, as the son of a knight, you can't stay in your room like this," Gray stated. Instead of being happy, Jimmy was mad and told Gray to get out of his room, but Gray can't follow what Jimmy said since he was following Iron's order that he should play with Jimmy for the whole day. Gray still forced Jimmy to go out and take a walk outside, and since Jimmy won't listen to him, he beat Jimmy since that is what Iron instructed him. Jimmy was surprised after seeing the hole in the wall made by Gray with just the wind pressure of his fist. Jimmy doesn't have a choice but to ride to Tenitos and go outside the castle with Gray. While they are outside, those kids who set him up saw him and they thought that Gray will scold them, but Gray just informed them to not always wander down those alleys to avoid being in danger. These kids are all orphans adopted by the church. And after White City entered a state of readiness for war, the church's finances went into trouble, so they were gullible enough to set up Gray for a small profit. Instead of punishing them, Gray donated all his belongings to the church after he knew about everything. "We have great respect for you. You are a true knight," said the kids, causing Gray to be thrilled. They idolized Gray to the point that when they grow up, they wanted to be a great knight like Gray. "Do you really want to be knights?" Gray asked them, and they answered yes. Because of that, Gray told them that they don't need to wait until they grow up. Gray formed a knightly order and let the kids follow him. "Let's go to the church and get you commissioned as knights," Gray stated. Suddenly, one kid asked about the man wearing armor in front of Gray. Gray introduces Jimmy to them, and he told the kids that Jimmy is his adopted son. When they arrive at the church, he said to the priest that he wanted all these kids to be a knight and he needs the priest to be a witness. The priest concludes that Gray is playing with the children, so he told Gray that he can be a witness, but they need to wait a little while because there's someone praying inside the church. It's the first time Gray has seen someone other than him come to church during his whole time in White City. Gray with the kids is doing a pledging ceremony inside the church, and Gray told them that for now, they are all trainees and they'll start the training the next day. This is the path Gray chose for himself and will never regret becoming a knight. Suddenly, the woman in a hood goes near Gray and introduces herself. She's Angel Catherine, and Gray feels some strange vibe after he saw Catherine. Although there is a deliberate attempt to hide it, Gray can sense the girl's vibe in front of him and he knows that it is an angel. Gray started to overthink and wanted to escape, but Catherine told him that she won't do anything to Gray since Gray is not breaking the law or trying to harm people. After that, Gray needs to leave and the pastor gives thanks to him. Because of him, those kids who were always naughty started to read the Holy Book on their own initiative. "My admiration for you is second only to the Holy Spirit. A pious knight like you should be recognized by the Holy Spirit," the pastor stated, and asked for Gray's help to apply for the Holy Order's seal of the cross. He also added that Gray can continue providing financial assistance. After hearing it, Gray immediately leaves and plans to go to tavern after he will bring back Jimmy to the castle. Afterward, he goes to the tavern for gambling to earn money and give it to the pastor. After he earned a lot of money, he's planning to go back to the church, but there was an old man asking for money, and since Gray is generous, he gave money to the old man. Other people saw it, and they also asked for money to Gray until it's only 2 silver coins left. Many days have passed. Jimmy is getting weak inside his room because they do many things with Gray. He was dragged out into the sun to learn how to ride a horse. Gray also let him learn swordplay in the hot sun, and they study night novels, dance, and do housework. He also complains that Gray is obsessed with women's clothing. Since he can hold it any longer, he ordered Dora to tell the king to act outright. The day has come, and the king is ready to attack the White City together with his troops. On Iron's side, she's preparing for the battle against the king. Robert informed her that the warrior have assembled, so she immediately go at the Tower Castle. When she arrived, she started to vow in front of the warriors. In the middle of the ceremony, Horace heard some noise behind him, and it was the children in the army. Horace was mad and asked for the commander. The commander stated that the children were brought by the Silver Moon Knight and are said to be members of his order. "We are the members of the super invincible Silver Moon Knights," the children stated. In the office of Iron, she asked Gray about the kids, and Gray said that this kids has a lot of potentials. Iron told the children that she needs to talk to Gray first, so the children left the room. Iron scolded him and ordered him to send back the children to the church. Gray insisted that those kids are members of his orders. Iron educated him that war is a place where they might get hurt or lose their life, so it's better not to bring those kids to the battlefield. "As long as I am here, they won't get hurt," Gray stated, causing Iron to be mad and asked Gray if he really understand what war is. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Till next time.